100 poets, one poem each, number 14. The poem Michinoku no shinobu mojizuri tare yue ni midaresome nishi ware naranaku ni. Like the random patterns of the shinobu mojizuri cloth of the far north, my heart has become disordered, and it is not my fault, it is yours. 31 syllables, the 14th poem in the anthology of 100. This poem was quoted in the Tales of Ise, the most important collection of poem tales. In the Heian tradition, a young man arrives in a village in the far north. He sees beautiful women. He cuts a piece of his hunting robe and writes this poem on it. He sends it to them. It is one of the most charming. Opening moves in Japanese literature: a young man, hunting clothes, a piece of fabric, a poem that says, "You have disordered me. It is not my fault. It is yours." The poet. His name was Minamoto no Toru. In the 100 poets he is listed as Kawara no Sadaijin, the minister of the left of the Kawara, named for the great mansion he built along the Kamo River, the river mansion, the Kawara-in. He was born in 822. He was the 12th son of Emperor Saga, the emperor who sent Abe no Nakamaro's ship to China, the emperor who was himself one of the great calligraphers of the age. Like Yose in the previous poem, he was a prince who was made a commoner. Shinsekoka, the descent to the subject class. The descent to the subject class. Given the name Minamoto, the surname that meant source, the river that was the origin. Many princes received this name when they were moved from the imperial family into the aristocracy. He rose to the left minister, the highest official position in the government. He was one of the most powerful men in Japan. He was also one of the most beautiful and one of the most extravagant. The Kawara mansion, the mansion he built, was like nothing in Japan at the time. 6 city blocks along the Kamo River with a garden designed to reproduce the landscape of the far north, the salt coast of Shiogama, the pine forests of Michinoku. He brought seawater from the bay of Naniwa, transported it to the capital to fill the inlet in his garden so that salt could be burned there, so that the smell and the sight of the distant coast could exist in the middle of the capital. The garden had hills, islands, streams, seasonal plantings, everything required for the full experience of the landscape the garden was pretending to be. This is the man who built what became the model for the Rokujoin, the great compound of the tale of Genji, the compound of 4 seasonal quarters, the compound that was everything the world could be gathered into by someone with enough power and taste to gather it. The model for Genji, this is the connection. That makes the 14th poem particularly interesting for anyone who has come to this anthology. From the tale of Genji, Minamoto no Toru is the most frequently cited real-world model for Hikaru Genji, the brilliant son of the emperor, who was made a commoner, who rose to great power, who built the compound, that became the center of his world, who loved beauty in all its forms, who had too many feelings and too much capacity to contain them. The Kawara-in became the Rokujoin, the man who built it, became the man who is the light that organizes the tale around itself. Whether Murasaki Shikibu was thinking of Toru when she wrote Genji is a question that cannot be answered. She was writing 100 years after his death. She had the stories, she had the tradition, she had the compound that stood in its ruined state along the river. What she made was not Toru, it was something larger, something that used Toru as one of its materials, and produced something that was not Toru, but that carried Toru inside it, the way all great fiction carries the real world inside it, and transforms it into something the real world could not be. The cloth from the far north, Michinoku, the far road, the place at the end of the road, going north, the region that is now the Tohoku, the northeastern part of Honshu. In the Heian imagination, Michinoku was the edge of the known world, far, cold, different, the place where the road ended, and the unknown began, where different people lived, with different customs, where things came from that did not come from the capital. One of those things was cloth, shinobu mojizuri, the random pattern cloth of Michinoku, made in the Shinobu district of what is now Fukushima, made by pressing fern patterns into cloth with stones. The patterns were not regular, not planned, random. The randomness was the point. The cloth was beautiful because of its disorder. This is the image the poem uses for love. Not the deliberate pattern, the random one. Not the design, the disorder. Love as the thing. That cannot be planned. That arrives in patterns that were not arranged. That makes the cloth beautiful, precisely because it was not controlled. The disclaimer, ware naranaku ni. It is not my doing, I am not the cause, not my fault. This is the move the poem makes. At the end, the apparent deflection, the claim of innocence, but the claim is not a deflection. It is an accusation. If it is not my fault, then it is yours. Your presence did this. Your existence disordered me. I am not responsible. You are. This is charming, in the way that only works, if the person saying it is someone who can carry it, who has the presence and the grace to make the accusation into a compliment, who can say, you disordered me, and have it land as, you are so compelling that you have disordered even me. This is the gift of someone like Toru, the man who could say anything in the right way, who could write on a piece of hunting cloth and have it be the right gesture, who could build a garden that reproduced the far north in the middle of the capital and have it be the right excess. The ghost, he died in 895, and the stories did not stop. The Kawara mansion fell into disrepair. After his death, the great garden, the salt water, the landscape of the far north, reproduced in the middle of the capital, all of it fading, without the person to maintain it. Emperor Uda came to visit the mansion after Toru's death, and a figure appeared, the figure of the old minister who had come back to the place he had built, to the garden he had made, who could not leave it, even in death. The emperor addressed the figure. He said, "This place belongs to the imperial house now. You have no claim here." The figure faded. It did not return. This story is in the Konjaku Monogatari, the tales of times now past, the great collection of tales from the late Heian period. It was told as fact, as the record of what happened when the emperor came to the mansion of the dead minister. Whether anyone believed it literally is impossible to know. The tradition believed it enough to keep telling it. The man who could not leave his garden, even after death. The man who had built the most beautiful private space in Japan, and who was still there long after everyone else had left. The Cloth and the Heart. The poem is a love poem, written in the voice of a young man who has just seen someone beautiful and whose heart has been disordered by the seeing, the cloth from the far north, the random patterns, the beautiful disorder, the accusation that is a compliment. This is the man who became Genji, or one of the man who built the compound. That became the Rokujoin, the man whose ghost could not leave the garden he had made, who disordered himself over everything beautiful, and found a way to say it that made the disordering into something beautiful too. Michinoku no shinobu mojizuri, tare ni midaresome nishi, ware naranaku ni. The far north, the cloth, the random pattern, my disordered heart, not my fault, yours,